Good morning, I'm Brian Stelter, and it is time for Reliable Sources. It's been a very busy Sunday already, with new arrests overnight in Ferguson, Missouri, after a small number of protesters defied a midnight curfew. State Highway Patrol Captain Ron Johnson said he was disappointed, and so were the community leaders who had tried to convince young people to go home. The aftermath of Michael Brown's death is a complex story, no doubt. It is about race, justice, civil disobedience, and freedom to protest. And the media is right in the center of it all. Several times this week, it seemed as if the authorities were targeting reporters. Now, that's something we might be used to seeing overseas. But right in the suburbs of St. Louis, even President Obama addressed it earlier this week. And again, early this morning, during the curfew, some reporters say they were threatened with arrest. So in a moment, I'll talk with an Al Jazeera correspondent about what it was like to be tear-gassed in the middle of all this. But first, let's go live to Ferguson, to Ryan Riley, a reporter for the Huffington Post. Yesterday, Politico said Riley has become a local celebrity in Ferguson. That's because he was roughed up by police and arrested on Wednesday while he was inside a McDonald's writing a story. Of course, this raises a lot of questions about police intimidation of reporters there. So, Ryan, I want to get to your arrest in a moment. But first, tell me what you witnessed overnight. How were reporters like you treated during the curfew?
Yeah, so the interesting thing was this was the first night that there was actually a press area where we were allowed to remain stationed throughout the night. And basically we were behind the police instead of within the crowd with the protesters. But unfortunately that location was actually located away from a lot of the clashes that we were trying to cover. A number of reporters who did manage to make it down towards the clashes didn't have any issues and were actually later mingling with some of the officers further down and were allowed to report from there. But all of us who were working from within sort of, I guess, the press pen there were threatened with arrest if we left that area. And, you know, we were being pretty closely watched to make sure that we weren't leaving that vicinity.
You posted some pictures on Twitter this morning that I want to show on screen. A more positive side of this story, community members cleaning up after what happened last night. But I've also seen some reporters say that protesters at different moments have threatened them. What have you experienced? Is that true?
Absolutely. Very early on in the night yesterday, we were threatened outside of the McDonald's, actually, again, by some of the people who were gathered there who I guess were going to cause some issues later in the night. Essentially,
so they don't want to be seen on camera. They don't want to be shown. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And if things got crazy, they said, then, you know, and we started taking pictures, we could become targets too.
You and Wesley Lowery of the Washington Post were arrested on Wednesday, then released 45 minutes later, never charged with anything. Have you figured out the names of the arresting officers yet? Because you said on Wednesday that they wouldn't tell you their names.
Absolutely not. They never told me their names. I've actually encountered one of the individuals who works for the Ferguson Police Department 2 separate times since then, and in front of other officers again requested his name, taken photos of him up close, obviously when I was surrounded with a lot of other media, so there wasn't really an issue of me being arrested again. And I haven't seen the county officer who was the one who actually slammed my head into the door on the way out and was the worst physically abusive. I asked I guess the sheriff last night to identify him by showing a photo that I had, and he declined to do so and just sent me to Internal Affairs. So we'll see. We're not sure where the process is going to go next, but we hope to identify who exactly that officer was.
What was it like for you to hear President Obama the next day talk about how police should not be bullying or arresting reporters?
It was a very strange experience, and I think overall this has just been a weird place to be in. It's not a place that I'm used to being as a reporter, and not what I came down here to do, despite what
you don't want to be the story yourself.
May say.
Yeah.
Right, I don't. I want to be. Last night was really refreshing to be able to actually report on what was happening to other people, and interview people this morning on the streets. But it's interesting also because it's a different sort of dynamic. Because often when I am interviewing people, they recognize me for what happened, and they say, "Oh, you're that reporter," and so it's added a sort of different interaction with people I'm reporting than I have in the past, and perhaps probably opened people up to speaking with me who maybe wouldn't be comfortable speaking with me in the past.
That's a really interesting point. Of course, some people have criticized you and Lowery, including MSNBC's Joe Scarborough, who implied that you set yourself up to get arrested and to get attention and to get on TV. So what is your response to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of sort of armchair critics here, and it was kind of disappointing to see that coming from within the journalistic community. I think from what I heard, Joe Scarborough sort of I think, apologized the next day because I had posted a photo of that I'd actually taken with him probably a decade ago when I was in high school.
Right.
You know, saying that I thought we were cool. But you know, it was sort of disappointing to see that come from within the journalistic community overall. You would think that people would be willing to stand by other journalists and not sort of second guess their actions. Any journalist who is in that situation, any good journalist who is in that situation, the exact same thing would have happened to them. I'm 100% certain of that. We did nothing wrong in that circumstance. We were allowed to record, and we were obeying officers' commands and trying to get out of the restaurant as quickly as possible, while still documenting the sort of extraordinary measures that they were taking and the attitude that they had towards the customers in that McDonald's.
And we should say, reporters and citizens have the right to record police. Ryan Riley, thank you for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me.
The same night that Ryan was arrested, an Al Jazeera America camera crew found itself on the receiving end of tear gas canisters and rubber bullets. Take a look at this video. One of the people you see running from the camera is correspondent Asher Karishi. He used to work here at CNN, and now he's based in the Chicago bureau for Al Jazeera. Earlier, I asked him what was going through his head when this tear gas erupted around him.
Well, you know, the first thing that we thought was, you know, we're standing in a position that we were told was safe. It was a safe distance. It was about a mile away from the epicenter of some of these protests. So there were police officers just, you know, a half block from us, and we basically were told we would be safe here. That's as far as we could get. So the assumption was that nobody was going to be shooting tear gas canisters at us, let alone rubber bullets. So we were taken completely by surprise when it happened.
Had you experienced anything like this before, either here in the United States or elsewhere?
Not here in the United States. I mean, I've covered protests, for example, overseas in Pakistan when I worked for CNN a number of years ago. But, you know, in a place like that, you expect, and the times that we were covering the news there, that you weren't safe just because you were a journalist. And that was one of the things we felt for the first time here, at least on Wednesday, which was this indiscriminate sort of treatment of not only the protesters, but the journalists themselves. The fact of the matter is, when it comes to what happened to our crew, you could see what you heard later was that they were firing canisters into crowds, dispersing them. But clearly in the video, Brian, there were no crowds around us when they shot at us. There were lights. There was a camera. We could clearly see them. We can't understand how they could possibly say that they could not clearly see us.
So was it intentional? Do you feel you were targeted?
I do feel like we were targeted because after we retreated back, there was a crowd that did go towards our camera equipment, and that was caught on camera. They hovered around our equipment. There were a number of people there. No rubber bullets were fired at them, and no canisters were fired at them either. And later on, the police that were involved in this basically said that they were helping us out by getting us out of there. You know, I find that a little bit insulting. It sounds like, you know, somebody sucker punches you in a bar and then hands you a steak and kicks you out the door. That's not helping you. So it felt very much like we were being targeted, especially since we put our hands up, we screamed at the top of our lungs, we're press, and it still continued the way it was.
Al Jazeera's bosses have said this has a chilling effect, or at least it was intended to have a chilling effect on the press. Has it? Have you changed what you've been doing there at all in the days since?
I think it had an immediate chilling effect, but I think that's changed, and I think it's brought a lot of attention to what's been going on here in Ferguson as all of these journalists, the ones that were arrested and the ones that were caught up in the tear gas on Wednesday night, have been covering this. And really, the fact of the matter is that we're here to tell the story of what's going on in this town. And to be treated in a way that, you know, tries to put some intimidation into the way we cover this. There's been much talk about this militarization of the police in this area, and it very much looked like that. You saw these MRAPs, you saw these armored vehicles, you saw SWAT teams, you saw people in riot gear, police in riot gear, and they literally were facing off with these demonstrators. That was not the case Thursday night. There was not a police officer in sight. There was one incident where we actually saw police come in, but they were in SUVs, and then they later were able to leave without incident. So it was very different, and that clearly had an effect on how the night proceeded Thursday.
Ashar, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you, Brian.